Kia ora, g'day, good morning. Welcome to Herald Now with me, Ryan Bridge. It's Monday, the 24th of November. Great to have your company this morning. Coming up on the show, the economy's still spluttering, Winston's off the chain, and it seems like the knives are out for Christopher Luxon. He's on the program this morning live. And a looming strike, constant complaints about high fares and worries about fleet reliability, cancellations, turbulent times for our national carrier. Air New Zealand's boss, Nikhil Ravichandkar, joins me live at the desk in less than 5 minutes. The All Blacks have finished their season with a bang, smashing Wales to finish the year with 10 wins and 3 losses. So does this mean all has been forgiven? We've got the boys from sport and they're going to say no. Plus, Darwin has survived its worst cyclone in 50 years and Kiwi band Drax Project are with me on set. All ahead on your Monday morning.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
National's first election promise could make life more difficult for small businesses. Leader Christopher Luxon wants workers and employers to lift their default KiwiSaver contributions each to 6% by 2032. Small Business Voice Managing Director Max Whitehead says the policy ignores the difficulties many small businesses are facing trying to stay afloat at the moment. He says it's basically another tax on businesses. Whitehead says this will only add to their problems when many are closing their doors. Our 123 MPs own a combined $379 million worth of property. Our newsrooms found national MPs dominated the property rich list. Rangitike's Suze Redmayne leading the charge with a $24.3 million portfolio. Christopher Luxon's second on the podium with $15.2 million worth of property. Parmjeet Palmer is fifth. New Zealand First's top showing is Winston Peters at 11th. Then Labour's Willie Jackson comes in at 17th. Counter-proposals to the US peace plan for Russia's invasion of Ukraine are emerging as European, US and Ukrainian officials hash out discussions in Switzerland. Russia's backing the 28-point plan, which would include Ukraine ceding territory and ditch efforts to join NATO. US President Donald Trump's accusing Ukrainian leaders of showing zero gratitude over US peace efforts. Europe is pushing the US to give a stronger security guarantee for Ukraine, similar to a NATO one. MSD officials have warned the government benefit changes could lead to increased demand on food banks. In November next year, job seeker eligibility is changing so 18 and 19-year-olds are subject to a parental income test in order to prevent people from staying in a cycle of welfare. The steep insurance price hikes we've been seeing in recent decades now appear to be over. The average quote for one house, one contents and one comprehensive car policy on insurance comparison website Quashed has increased just 2% in the past year, but Kiwis are still paying more than a third more for insurance now than they were 3 years ago. Billions are at stake for small businesses this holiday season if buyers shop elsewhere. Accounting service Xero reveals $11 billion could enter our small business sector if consumers move just 10% of their spending away from big business. They're urging shoppers to choose locally as Black Friday and Christmas approach. Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young says larger offshore providers can lag in product quality, and she says that local vendors must comply with the Trading Act, consumer guarantees and safety standards.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Formula One's World Championship has been reignited after both McLaren cars were disqualified from the Las Vegas Grand Prix due to technical infringements. Race winner Max Verstappen remains within striking distance of the title with 2 races left. Cricket Australia is facing an estimated $3 million loss from the 2-day Ashes opener in Perth due to missed ticket revenue. All Blacks forwards coach Jason Ryan accepts questions will be asked of where his side sits 2 years from Rugby's World Cup after a 10-win, 3-loss season.
Got a lot of strikes on at the moment, and unions lead the charge. Unions charge their members in some cases like wounded bulls. Some pay up to $50 a fortnight for the privilege just to be a member. And the bosses that run them are pretty well paid too. They claim they're in it for the workers, but then once they get a bit of a profile, they jump ship to the Labour Party. They're good mates. Craig Rennie, he was flitting between the CTU and Grant Robertson's office. Well, he has been selected to run in Wellington Bays. Fleur Fitzsimons, she tried but failed to get elected for Labour. She's surely trying to weasel her way back onto a list. Michael Wood, yes, he wants back in too. You see, unions are simply not the Premier League for these guys, are they? They're the equivalent of the bench for Labour's caucus. It's the place you go to keep your profile up while you wait for another turn at sucking from the public tit. There's nothing particularly wrong with this, but if you're a low-wage worker who believes that these people are your champions and they're in it for you, for negotiating hard with your employers, for doing the mahi, and then you realise actually they've just been using your plight as a pathway to feather their nest at the beehive, wouldn't you be a bit pissed off? Not all union members are lefties, sure, many of them are, but most just want a fair deal and a decent spokesperson, not a bunch of political wannabes doing dress-ups waiting for their time in the national spotlight.
Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Ata Maria, good morning. Not a bad day to kick off the working week, but the weather will deteriorate from around Wednesday with the next approaching low pressure system. The one thing about today though, it is going to be noticeably chilly in the South Island. For the lower south, you're about average for this time of year, although Timaru hitting only 13 degrees today. Christchurch and Ashburton likely to only warm to 14 degrees. It's all thanks to a southeasterly that turns northeast tonight. A few showers around in the east as well. Now there will be a few showers for Wellington, but it's not going to last, with clearing skies this afternoon. Lovely weather for Taranaki. The sou'wester turns sou'east there this evening. Now the morning is the better half of the day here, with showers becoming widespread from the afternoon. Easterlies develop for Hawke's Bay this morning. And apart from the odd shower for Northland from this afternoon, the upper north might just be the place to be. Fine skies with a sou'westerly for you, Auckland, easing tonight.
7 after 7 on your Monday morning. Air New Zealand is entering one of its most turbulent periods in years, facing industrial action from cabin crew who want better pay, ongoing pressure over higher fares, persistent concerns about fleet reliability and cancellations. Nikhil Ravashankar is the Chief Executive of Air New Zealand and joins me live at the desk this morning. Nikhil, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
Good to see you. Here. Now, let's start with the strikes. Are we going to see strikes before Christmas?
Look, we're doing everything we can to avoid strike action. We're meeting again with the unions this week, and I think our objectives are aligned. We're all trying to find the right solution, do the right thing, and I'm still hopeful that it won't get there. But if we did go down that path, we've got teams working very, very hard to make sure that customer disruptions are kept to a minimum.
What proportion, is 1,200 members who are union members, what proportion of that is your total crew?
Almost all our crew are union members.
It's like 80%, right?
North of that, yeah.
Okay, so if they all go down, then the planes don't operate?
Not necessarily. We are looking at options of how we deal with the strike action on a sort of progressive basis. And we think that we can work hard to keep the disruptions to a minimum. That said, we will have to cancel flights, but we'll re-accommodate customers either ahead of the strike action or after, so if that's the path we go down.
So would it all be on one day, or would it be spread over a number of days?
At the moment, the strike notice is for 1 day.
So how will you, if most of your cabin crew won't be there, how do you avoid shutting most 80% of flights down in a day?
We, look, it's a technical conversation because some of our aircraft will be up in the air already. We will have to get customers to the other side. Strike only kicks off after, strike action will commence only after 30 minutes after, for example, an aircraft has landed and what we call we're off gate. If you will, or off block,
How many passengers, have you run numbers, how many passengers do you think might be affected by this?
Look, it's hard to tell. The teams are working through that calculation as we speak. By the end of this week, we should have a sense.
Do you have a rough idea now?
Well, if you ask me, I think the number will be somewhere between 10 to 15,000 customers, possibly.
Okay.
So it's significant.
And what happens to them? How much notice do they get that their flight's going to be cancelled? We've had loads of people, Herald readers and viewers of this program who've been messaging us, am I going to get to Lady Gaga on the 8th in Australia?
Yeah. We'll give our customers ample notice so that this next round of conversations with the unions are going to be critical. And as we get the finer details locked down, and if we do end up going down that path, the first people we'll notify are the customers.
Okay. You said negotiating the details. What exactly do they want? Because as I understand it, the base salary is $60,000 a year. Is that right, for an air hostess?
It ranges from about $58,000 to about $85,000.
And how much more do they want?
Well, it's not necessarily just about how much more the unions want. It's a matter of making sure that we all understand that cabin crew salaries aren't just about the base pay. It's a job that is quite unique, as you can well imagine, and so there is a lot of non-base allowances that make up the pay as well. So we're all looking at, in aggregate, what the increases need to look like over a 3-year period of time.
Right. So in aggregate, on the whole, what they're asking for, what's it worth to Air New Zealand over 3 years? Hundreds of millions, what?
It is in the millions, and hence why we're all working through it as carefully as we can. As you know, air travel has been as expensive as it's ever been. So ensuring that we have affordable air travel is high on the agenda. Ensuring we can help the airline navigate through a very tough economic cycle is high on the agenda. But equally high on the agenda is making sure that we look after our cabin crew.
Is what you're offering less than inflation?
No.
Okay, because that's what they've said. Are they lying?
I'm not sure what they've said, to be honest, Ryan.
Did you read Bruce Cotterill's article in the Herald over the weekend?
I certainly did.
And your thoughts?
You can read that article and, there are a bunch of anecdotes there and you can write it off as such. But actually, perception is reality. And we have to deal with that perception. One of the points Bruce makes is the fact that we, need to empower our frontline staff to just do the right thing, And frankly, one of the reasons I'm so proud of this airline is because that's how we operate. Our cabin crew are world-renowned for just using a good old-fashioned dose of Kiwi common sense and looking after our customers, as are our airport staff. So we do that quite often, but also we're a large business. There are, hundreds of thousands of customer interactions on a weekly basis. And sometimes, under stressful situations or in certain instances, those things don't happen. But we strive to make sure that we empower our frontline staff, and we'll continue to do so, Ryan.
So everyone who's on the front line, every Air New Zealand staff member at an airport has the right to be able, has the authority to be able to change people onto different flights if they need to. They can do anything from there.
Not anything, because it's a complex operation, as you well know. But they have, within guardrails, they've got the right to make sure that the customers are taken care of.
So they can change flights?
Yeah, in certain situations, they can change flights. In fact, every day, our frontline staff change hundreds of customers' flights.
In what circumstances can't they change flights?
Look, there are many, many special cases where, they can't change flights. For example, if changing one customer's flight impacts one or more other customers, then they need to trade that off and make sure that, whatever they're applying as a fix doesn't have any unintended consequences.
Okay. What about the proportion of flights that are delayed or cancelled? He talks in the article about weather, engine issues and staff shortages as the kind of catch-all.
Sure.
What proportion of the flights that you cancel or postpone are because of each of those?
We call that controllable cancellations. Controllable cancellations today is about 2% of all the flights we operate. So we operate about 170,000 flights a year, and 2% of those flights we cancel because of either engine issues, aircraft issues, or crew issues. World class is 1%. So we have to halve that number before we are very proud internally about where we are, and we're working very hard to do so.
And what is the problem? Is it the weather?
No,
Is it the engineering, or is it the staff?
The weather is excluded from that
Right,
stat.
okay, so it's engineering and staff.
Yeah, weather is an extra 1%. So you can think of our cancellation rate currently around 3%. 2% of that is what we call controllable, which is engineering and staff. By and large, it typically tends to be skewing towards our engineering side.
Okay.
Yep.
So does that mean you don't have enough engineering staff?
We've had that issue in the past as we've rebuilt out of COVID. Now we're in a very good place, actually, and that's why you're starting to see that number decline. The other issue is spare parts. The global aviation supply chain has been very strained, but now our spare parts reserves are also starting to improve. So over the last month, for example, our cancellation rate has been very low.
How low?
I think we're under 1% on controllable.
So you're
cancels.
under world class.
Yeah, we're getting very close. I'm very hopeful that over the next wee while, as the aviation system starts to stabilize, we will get to a place that is better than where the airline was pre-COVID. That's the mission.
You mentioned just before we came on here that you had some contact from some old bosses, Air New Zealand bosses, after this article was published in the Herald. Tell us about that.
Well, let me put it this way. It's been one hell of a 5-week period for me in my new role. And one of the things that makes it possible to do a job like this is the support of your team. But in my case, also, we have a very special group of NZ CEO alumni who are all willing to sort of lean in and give me some support, which is always nice to have,
So you heard from Greg?
I heard from Greg.
What did they tell you about it?
Our ex-CEOs know that it's a very complex business, and Air New Zealand's not just a commercial airline, it's part of New Zealand's critical infrastructure. And caring for it and making sure we set that up for it to be future ready is a complex, difficult job. And they encourage me to keep the faith and keep at it. And we've got a world-class team who have world-class aspirations. So they're always very encouraging.
What's your aspiration? What do you want when you leave Air New Zealand as CEO? How will it look different, feel different to the way it does right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, for me, I want Air New Zealand to be the world's best little airline from the world's, best little country in the world. An airline that Kiwi are proud to call their own. And so when we read articles like the ones in the weekend, it's very personal for me and my 11,500 colleagues. And we want to fix that, and we're working on fixing it. Air New Zealand's an incredibly well-respected airline around the world. So, in 5 years' time, I want it to be, in the top 5 of safe, reliable operations. We need the airline to be financially sustainable so it can pay for itself, reinvest in the future. I want the airline to be the place that talented young Kiwi want to come join and build their careers. And I want us to be the most loved brand in the country.
I've got some questions for you, which hopefully it'll only take a minute. We can whip through them. This is from our audience. We asked them last night, have you got any questions? Is it you're good with this?
Please go
Actually,
ahead.
there's one from me very quickly. Grab a seat.
Yes.
So you go and grab a seat, you find cheap fares. You
Yeah.
go on nzherald.co.nz, you don't find the same cheap fares.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Well, my Grab a Seat team might not like me portrayed this way, but Grab a Seat for us is you can think of it as our bargain basement bin. So, the product we're in is as soon as the plane takes off, our product expires. You can't sell a seat once our flight takes off, but all the fixed costs of the flight we carry. So Grab a Seat allows us, or historically has allowed us, to try and get those load factors up.
So if you're looking for a last-minute seat, you start with Grab a Seat.
You can look at Grab a Seat, but also our main website will also have deals for people.
Okay, but not the same ones. Sam Rawlins says, favourite type of aircraft in the fleet?
Oh, the two aircraft I like, one's our Dreamliner 787, particularly a new product. And Ryan, if you haven't been on the new product, it's world class, you should try it. And I like our workhorse turboprops. They keep New Zealand connected.
Someone says domestic flights are way too expensive, bro. That's Bevan. I don't think that's a question, Bevan, but...
I get it, Bevan.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
Well, we're doing quite a bit about it, actually, Ryan. You know, since 2019, costs have gone up significantly, 45% cost inflation. In some categories, like airport landing charges, for example, costs have gone up 80%. And so what we're trying to do is to ensure that the costs we control, we try and transform the business to try and attack those costs, reduce them. And where we don't control those costs, influence folk who can do something about it. And in the meantime, our airfares have gone up only 35%. And that's why you've seen our first half guidance is towards a loss. So I can assure your listeners, we're not indiscriminately raising airfare prices, because if anyone gets it, I get it. It's very expensive.
Do you have a date just finally when you'll be full? You have all your aircraft up and running again?
The longest pole in the tent is going to be our A320 narrow-body aircraft because of our Pratt & Whitney engine issues. And I think that's about an 18 to 24-month journey.
Appreciate your time this morning, Nikhil. Thank you very much for being with me. Nikhil Ravichandkar, who's with us, Chief Executive at Air New Zealand. Now, if you've got feedback on this interview or anything we're talking about this morning, do get in touch. You can email ryan@nzherald.co.nz. Between them, our MPs have stakes in $379 million worth of property. The MP's property rich list is next. And then the ABs win the season, not win the season, far from it actually. They won over Wales. We'll get to sport.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because they're good quality that they always provide us.
They've helped us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ Gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
I became a Herald journalist to get at the truth.
I became a Herald journalist to share not only what's going on, but also what it means.
To help people make up their own minds about the issues that matter.
To give a voice to every New Zealander and to expose the issues affecting our communities.
To make sure that people that are in positions of power are held to account.
To enact change that will ultimately benefit all of society.
To take our readers closer to the action.
I became a Herald journalist to put the facts first. That's the reason we're here.
If it's news you can trust, it's news worth knowing. The New Zealand Herald.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Forsyth Barr investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Forsyth Barr, investment advice.
Welcome back. It is 23 minutes after 7. An Israeli airstrike has hit Beirut for the first time since June. Israel says they've killed Hezbollah's chief of staff. It comes as Israeli airstrikes over southern Lebanon have intensified in recent weeks. The health ministry there has said at least 5 people were killed in the strike, 28 more were wounded.
Prime Minister Netanyahu ordered the attack upon the recommendation of the defense minister and the IDF chief of staff. Israel is determined to act and achieve its goals anywhere and at all times.
It is 24 minutes after 7 now. A New Zealand Herald investigation has revealed MPs across the country hold a combined $379 million worth of property. It's an average of $3 million for each of the 123 sitting MPs. Topping the list was National MP Suze Redmond, whose property portfolio is worth $24 million. Close behind is the PM at 15.2. And third place, National's Barbara Kruger with $14.6 million in property assets. Bryce Edwards is a political commentator, joins us this morning. Bryce, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Does this matter? Should we care?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some curiosity about what MPs own, but it has some big ramifications for democracy, for policy making, for housing justice, for the trust of voters in their representatives, because this really shows that we have a parliament of a very rich, well, $380 million worth collectively, or average $3 million in property each MP. This does mean that these aren't ordinary citizens, and that when they're making decisions on housing, it can be, there can be something of a conflict of interest, and it might explain why we don't have some big changes to affordable housing over, every parliament, essentially.
Most of these are the family home, though. A lot of the stuff we're talking about is farms. None of that's going to be taxed by a capital gains. So really, does it make a big difference?
Yeah, I mean, capital gains taxes, wealth taxes, they're being configured, they're being drawn up by the people that own these farms. So yes, farms are being made exempt. Family homes are being made exempt from a capital gains tax under Labour's policy. So yes, I think there is an argument that MPs have a self-interest in every policy they make, whether it's on state housing, whether it's on interest deductibility for tax, for rental owners, they have their own interests. And that's why I think this piece of investigation by the Herald's Chris Knox is really important. It should be, these details should be known by every renter in the country, every first home buyer that's struggling for their deposit, those living in damp housing. This kind of lays out why there is a problem and it's not really being fixed.
So you think because MPs go home to a warm home, they don't care enough to fix damp homes?
Yeah, it puts a gap between our representatives and the population that they serve. I'm not saying this is a conscious thing, that MPs are necessarily looking at their property portfolio and thinking, oh, well, we better not build many state houses, but certainly it means they don't have that lived reality. They don't know what it's like to struggle to pay your mortgage, your rent. And so it means that, if property prices fell by 10%, collectively, it means that MPs would lose about nearly $40 million. Or if property prices went back to pre-COVID levels, you'd have Parliament losing, something like $120 million collectively. They don't want to do that, obviously. So they have an inbuilt kind of bias to keep the status quo, essentially.
All right, appreciate your time this morning, Bryce. Thank you. That's Bryce Edwards, political commentator on the Herald Story this morning. 27 after 7 now. Let's go to the boys of sport. Cam McMillan from the Herald and Chris Reeve, also from the Herald. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Now, we won't talk about the rugby first because the F1's way more exciting. Who's hotter on the F1?
I can talk
Chris?
about the race and Cam can talk about the
So we've got two issues. We've got Liam Lawson and another near miss with a marshal. Tell us what happened.
Well, the near miss with the marshal might have been sort of a little bit out of proportion. The marshals were on the track to clear up debris, as happened sort of last time around, but this time around it seemed like they were a little bit further ahead. They still shouldn't have been on the track when they were, but hey, they weren't in danger this time around.
Okay.
I think it was just a little PTSD from last time around where he got very, very close.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I think every driver was in danger of hitting a marshal. It wasn't just Lawson. The whole pack were coming through on the first lap. I think it was just taken from his quote that he was like, well, what are they doing there? It's all happened again.
Yeah, he's hyper aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay, and then what about the skid? What is it called?
The skid pad, I think.
Skid pad?
Skid pads. Or what we call undies.
yeah.
So what happened?
I didn't want to say skid marks. I kept thinking, don't say skid marks. Skid pads.
Skid pads.
Yeah, so both McLaren cars were disqualified overnight, New Zealand time. So, apparently they have skid pads under the car, and they have to have a certain mark that if they're worn too far, then you're disqualified. And that's over the whole race weekend. So they understand that that's kind of part of practice. It was a lot of rain, so they said they were porpoising, which they're bumping up and down a lot, which has affected the bottom of the car. So after every race, every car kind of gets checked, and they've said McLaren cars need to be disqualified, which I feel a bit for the guys that didn't eventually get on the podium. Antonelli's one of them. Doesn't get to celebrate. Doesn't get the champagne, even though he's probably underage and can't drink in America. Doesn't get the chance to spray everyone. But it does make the title a lot more exciting now. Max Verstappen's now 24 points off Lando Norris with 2 races to go, and they head to Qatar next, and there'll be a sprint race there as well. So there's kind of a few points on offer there. So at least makes it exciting.
So is it basically that they were too bald, and the balder that they are, the faster you go, and therefore you shouldn't be doing it? Is that the gist of it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
I believe that's
like swimmers when they shave their legs and they're faster through the water.
Yeah.
Okay, so they broke the rules and they shouldn't have done it, and disqualified after the race as well, weren't they? Not during it. Yeah. Okay, let's now move to the All Blacks. We've beaten Wales. Great thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it was a kind of a lose-lose situation for Razor. I guess we're talking about like there's so many changes, so I don't think we can take much out of the win. We beat Wales, yeah, we do that every time. I think if you look at the season, if you're looking at a pass mark, probably not. I'd say maybe a C+, because they had those 3 losses. If they had 2 losses, you could kind of say, yeah, that's fine. But the 3 losses to South Africa, England and Argentina, I think it kind of puts us, if you look at where we are in the world, I'd say South Africa are definitely the best team in the world. And then you'd say France and England. I'd say we're probably on level with Ireland and Argentina now, which is definitely a concern going into a World Cup. I think we're 2 years away, that we could make a World Cup final, but we're just so far behind South Africa that we need a lot of work to do over the next 2 years.
And you kind of need, if you're going to make a change, it's sort of like with Luxon and National. You either make a change now, maybe, or you just stick with the team you've got and then hope that things will improve.
Yeah, it's a strange one, right? Like 2 years in, obviously they hire these guys for a 4-year cycle, so they are sort of looking to build toward that big event at the end of the year. But like, so 2 years in, I still don't really know what to make of this All Blacks team. They look great at times, they look terrible at times. Against Wales, they were exploited on the wings pretty consistently. Like all of Wales' points came through their wingers. So there's plenty to work on there, and like Cam said, those 3 losses this year, yes, there were only 3 of them, but they were all pretty standout losses, like the biggest loss of all time to South Africa, and then that England test where the second half they just didn't really look like they had any answers. So plenty to work on over the next sort of couple of years.
And the Ashes, Cam, Australia took it out in 2 days. I've got a friend and his workmates flying in from the UK, and they get halfway there and it's all over.
Yeah, apparently it's going to cost Cricket Australia $3 million on ticket sales that they lost out of day 3 and 4. So I think they'll be having a word to their players, Australians especially, to bat on a bit longer. Amazing. The first day was so good. 19 wickets falling, and then the way it swung, England were in command and then just lost 9 wickets so quickly, and Australia, the way they won it as well, Travis Head hitting a quick 100, kind of the perfect start to the series. All the English are getting mad at Bazball and having a crack at Brendan McCullum. He wasn't out there batting. It was the players that were responsible for throwing their wickets away. But yeah, unfortunately it was only 2 days, but it was thrilling 2 days it was, yeah.
I mean, like you say, they're in a commanding position. They have, at least 3 days to work with, and then maybe get Australia in for the last day, try and bowl them out. Like, why are they playing expensive shots? It's Test cricket. You got time to work with.
Yeah. Guys, good to see you both, and we will see you Thursday.
Indeed.
Have a good week. It is 27 away from 8 now. That's Chris Reeve from the Herald and Cam McMillan. Time now for news headlines with Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB. National's first election promise could make life more difficult for small businesses. Leader Christopher Luxon wants workers and employers to lift their default KiwiSaver contributions each to 6% by 2032. Small Business Voice Managing Director Max Whitehead says the policy ignores the difficulties many small businesses are facing trying to stay afloat at the moment. He says it's basically another tax on businesses. Whitehead says this will only add to their problems when many are closing their doors. Our 123 MPs own a combined $379 million worth of property. Our newsrooms found National MPs dominated the property rich list. Rangitike's Suze Redmayne leading the charge with a $24.3 million portfolio. Christopher Luxon's second on the podium with $15.2 million worth of property. Parmjeet Palmer is fifth. New Zealand First's top showing is Winston Peters at 11th. Then Labour's Willie Jackson comes in at 17th. Counter-proposals to the US peace plan for Russia's invasion of Ukraine are emerging as European, US and Ukrainian officials hash out discussions in Switzerland. Russia's backing the 28-point plan, which would include Ukraine ceding territory and ditch efforts to join NATO. US President Donald Trump's accusing Ukrainian leaders of showing zero gratitude over US peace efforts. Europe is pushing the US to give a stronger security guarantee for Ukraine, similar to a NATO one. MSD officials have warned the government benefit changes could lead to increased demand on food banks. In November next year, job seeker eligibility is changing, so 18 and 19-year-olds are subject to a parental income test in order to prevent people from staying in a cycle of welfare. The steep insurance price hikes we've been seeing in recent decades now appear to be over. The average quote for one house, one contents and one comprehensive car policy on insurance comparison website Quashed has increased just 2% in the past year, but Kiwis are still paying more than a third more for insurance now than they were 3 years ago. Billions are at stake for small businesses this holiday season if buyers shop elsewhere. Accounting service Xero reveals $11 billion could enter our small business sector if consumers move just 10% of their spending away from big business. They're urging shoppers to choose locally as Black Friday and Christmas approach. Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young says larger offshore providers can lag in product quality, and she says that local vendors must comply with the Trading Act, consumer guarantees and safety standards. Herald NOW Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport. Formula One's World Championship has been reignited after both McLaren cars were disqualified from the Las Vegas Grand Prix due to technical infringements. Race winner Max Verstappen remains within striking distance of the title with 2 races left. Cricket Australia is facing an estimated $3 million loss from the 2-day Ashes opener in Perth due to missed ticket revenue. All Blacks forwards coach Jason Ryan accepts questions will be asked of where his side sits 2 years from Rugby's World Cup after a 10-win, 3-loss season.
Just gone 23 minutes away from 8 o'clock. The Prime Minister here live just after 8. We'll get to business with Garth in just a second. And lots of your feedback coming in on the YouTube channel this morning. Good morning to you, Jimmy. Good morning to you, Rick. Good morning to you, Sean. Sean says, wow, the sport guys look very sporty. Wait till you see our business guy. He looks businessy. Now, I was going to tell you about open homes. Well, it's not open homes, but auctions. Because interest.co.nz they do this quite good thing where they keep a look and keep a tab on auctions that are happening for houses in New Zealand. Probably all the MPs they're buying and selling, no doubt. And basically what happened last week is finally we cracked the 500 mark. Here it is. So 530 residential property auctions happened over the last week. That was 15 to 21 November. That was up from 436 the previous week, 466 the week before that. Now, it's significant to get to 500. Basically, that is seen as your peak selling mode. Anything over 500, and we're at 530. So the summer rush is upon us, basically, just as we head into summer. 224 of these ones sold. That's a sale rate of 42%, and 61% of those that did sell achieved either equal to or more than their RV. So things heading up on the property front. MPs will be happy, 22 to 8.
Herald NOW Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Ata Maria, good morning. Not a bad day to kick off the working week, but the weather will deteriorate from around Wednesday with the next approaching low pressure system. The one thing about today, though, it is going to be noticeably chilly in the South Island. For the lower south, you're about average for this time of year, although Timaru hitting only 13 degrees today. Christchurch and Ashburton likely to only warm to 14 degrees. It's all thanks to a southeasterly that turns northeast tonight. A few showers around in the east as well. Now, there will be a few showers for Wellington, but it's not going to last, with clearing skies this afternoon. Lovely weather for Taranaki. The sou'wester turns sou'east there this evening. Now, the morning is the better half of the day here, with showers becoming widespread from the afternoon. Easterlies develop for Hawke's Bay this morning. And apart from the odd shower for Northland from this afternoon, the upper north might just be the place to be. Fine skies with a sou'westerly for you, Auckland, easing tonight.
You're watching Herald Now. It is 21 minutes away from 8. Great to have your company this morning. Now, let's go to business with our partners 2 Degrees. Chances of a big fat 50-point cut to rates seem extremely low this week, but the Reserve Bank still looks like it'll do 0.25%. Garth Bray, Business Desk with me. Garth, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So, a quarter?
Yeah, that's what people are expecting, and suppose looking at whether they're going to, how strong the language is around leaving the door open for a further cut in February, bearing in mind that, you know, inflation looks like it's still sort of bumping up against that sort of 3% level. That the main, I suppose, consideration is you've got a new boss coming in. This is Christian Hawkesby's last go as acting Reserve Bank Governor. Anna Breman takes over next week, and, you know, would you really want to promise something that the next boss is going to have to deliver?
And gives her no headroom, no leeway either, does it?
Yeah, and I guess this, look, looking across all the different, you know, bank economists that look at this in detail and so on, they seem to be at a consensus. They don't think that it's baked in that February they'll come back after summer and say, yep, we're cutting, but it'll be prudent to sort of leave that possibility there. One of the clues we'll look for is the inflation track and see whether it's sort of dropping below 2.15 to 2.1, which would sort of tend to suggest there's more likelihood of a cut then. So there might be some little ways that they can signal by doing that, and that just sort of gives us a bit of a future picture.
So have a look at the fine print. Yeah. Now, KiwiSaver, this was a big announcement over the weekend, and, you know, National's plan to lift the contribution rates. It's going to take a while to get there. I mean, the first contribution increase isn't until April 2029 or something, and it's only 0.5% then.
Yeah, and this is how you do things, I suppose, slowly and gradually. There will be, I think, looking around, the reaction that we've seen from, you know, your Business New Zealand, just trolling through LinkedIn basically this morning, trying to get a bit of an easy read on it this morning. Early giveaway, folks. But, I mean, people have been talking for a while about there needs to be a 10-year plan for how we change KiwiSaver up quite a gear, because we are well short. Business New Zealand put a study out last week that said if we do nothing else, by 2045, every dollar of income tax will be spent funding pensions and healthcare. That's nothing for schools, nothing for roads, nothing for prisons, nothing for defence, nothing for anything else. So things have to change. You know, whether you accept that in the assessment is another matter. But there's a big conversation going on. We've got to try and change how we fund things and saving more. But of course, you know, as some people have said, the dollar you save today is the dollar you can't spend today, and that's going to have a contractionary impact on the immediate kind of economy. So I guess that's why
it's so gradual.
Yeah, and look, and there's a lot of debate about this, saying, hey, look, Australia, we'll compare with Australia. This is nothing like what they do in Australia.
No.
12% by the employer is what they do in Australia. This is getting us to 6 plus 6, 6 from you and me, 6 from the employer. And by the time we get to that, Aussie will be 15 or higher. And they'll probably be ploughing huge amounts of money into much more lucrative investments like venture capital.
Totally.
The debate over there is about that.
Which is not to say we shouldn't do it, because it's just that we're very late to the party.
We are so late to the party.
Their savings, pension scheme savings over there is something like $4 trillion.
Because...
And our KiwiSaver's $130 billion.
One reason is because they don't let you take it out for your house. You've got to save extra if you want to put away for a house. And they say, look, whereas here we're having a debate about whether farmers and sparkies and firemen should be able to take it out, you know, if they don't live in the house. You know, and
it's because all of our MPs are so property rich, they want to have as much money spent on them as possible.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, very quickly, speaking of houses and selling houses, there's a place in Remmers that is only to be bought using Bitcoin?
Well, this is the pitch, I suppose. I don't know if we've got some pickies of the Sevenani Crescent. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Listing on the market there at 5.35 million. QV had it at in May last year. I feel like I'm doing the one roof section now.
Nice.
Owners want $6 million, but if it's in New Zealand dollars, they want that to be a little bit higher. They say we want a proficient offer in New Zealand dollars, i.e. a bit better, but they prefer Bitcoin. Because they think
they can keep the chandeliers and the curtains.
Well, yes, because they think that New Zealand dollars are a valueless asset likely to be eaten by inflation. So there you go, even though it's only at 3% at the moment. If you do the numbers, I mean, Bitcoin's been at a record high back in mid-November, about 214k. I think it's about 155k today. So literally just even over the weekend, the amount of Bitcoin you would need to buy to make 6 mil has gone up by a couple of Bitcoin. Hasn't had the stones to say this is the offer in Bitcoin and lock in on that. It's still a New Zealand dollar offer, but then pay for us in Bitcoin, which is interesting. But this would be, if this went through, this would be, I think, the first house transaction, private home transaction in Bitcoin if they can pull it off. Yeah, interesting.
Very weird. Was there a particular reason?
I think just a particularly enthusiastic lover of the cryptocurrencies is selling this one after
Bit of a
it's been
Bitcoiner
in the family for about 50 years. So
very nice. Thanks, Garth. Good to see you. Garth Bray, Business Desk. That's thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. And we talk business every day with our partners 2 Degrees. To the South Island we go now, where police are investigating a 90-minute crime spree across 6 Christchurch suburbs yesterday. Claire Sherwood has the details. Claire, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it feels like it's been a while since we talked about youth crime sprees in Christchurch, but it was something that was almost every bulletin for me for a while in my newsroom anyway. But this particular crime spree, 90 minutes early yesterday morning, so from about 4 a.m. to 5:30 a.m., as you say, 6 different suburbs. We understand up to 9 different businesses hit by allegedly youths in what we know to be stolen vehicles. Interestingly, if you put the locations into Google Maps, it's 2 hours worth of driving that these people have been able to rack up in the space of 90 minutes, whilst also robbing the businesses there. So that gives you an idea of the level of driving and speed that this group is operating. And police say that they are young people, that they stole a number of items from a number of different businesses. We're talking little convenience stores or dairies and also some restaurants. Among the items they stole, potato chips, Pringles to be exact, and also some chocolate brownies, so perhaps a little hungry on their journey. Police do say, though, that one of the warning signs or the alarming elements of this is obviously the manner of their driving. They say that this group of youths intentionally got behind the wheels of those stolen vehicles and drove dangerously, knowing police would not be able to pursue them under their policy due to the risk. So inquiries are continuing to find those responsible.
So they're actually a little bit smart because they drive in a way they know means that the cops won't be able to chase them, but at the same time they're stealing potato chips. Ugh.
The mind boggles.
The mind boggles. Claire, you got anything else for us this morning? Just a big crime spree.
A big crime spree, but also a big fun spree yesterday at the Agricultural Park. So a week ago, we had the big Royal New Zealand show at the Agricultural Park. That then gets transformed. And to be fair, the weather also transformed because you'll remember a week ago, there was hail here in Christchurch. The races were called off in Cup and Show Week because there was just this chaotic weather. Yesterday, the showgrounds were drenched in sunshine and they had the annual Christmas parade. This is the one that almost went broke and disappeared a couple of years ago, and the organisers have been trying to bring it back for a little while. Yesterday was the biggest that they've had in some time, in the 78 years they've done it anyway, with a number of new floats. You see some of them there on the screen. I think there were 45 floats, and we were told last week by the director that they expected to see around 30,000 people attend, which is what they had last year, and they were really stoked with that. It turns out yesterday 45,000 people went through the gates for the parade. So it turns out Christmas is well and truly here.
That is very cool. Good to hear, Claire. Thank you very much for that. That is Claire. That's where the Ram Raiders should be, at the Christmas parade. Goodness sakes, you probably get free chips there too. Claire Sherwood from Christchurch, thank you. It is 12 minutes away from 8 o'clock. When we come back, I want to tell you about Germany because, you know, the Germans and having a big standing army for a while has been a bit like, because of the Nazis. Well, they are now rebuilding and they're doing it with gusto, and they are warning of a war with Russia happening in the next few years, literally the next few years, sometime before 2029. That NATO should be prepared for an attack on Europe, not Ukraine, but Europe from Russia by 2029. We'll have more details on that. Plus Zoe Wallace with your Monday markets. Then the PM after news.
You Do It DIY can make your new dream kitchen a reality. As a trusted Kiwi manufacturer for 44 years, You Do It has made it easy to design, order and assemble your own dream kitchen, offering a range of colour options and flexible sizing. With excellent online support, our customers all agree that You Do It makes DIY easy, delivering superb quality at a great price. Get your project started today at newsroom.co.nz.
We have completed 4 builds with GJ. Every time we want to think of building, we always go back to GJ.
It's a really good experience throughout the whole process.
They deliver what they promise on, and it feels like working with a family member. It's very easy and trustworthy to work with GJ.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. Plus, this month, get a guaranteed $10 Kickstarter and the chance to win $1,000. Download Tempo now.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
Welcome back. We'll get to the Prime Minister in 10-15 minutes' time. Actually, if you've got questions you want to ask him, maybe about the leadership, I don't know, flick me an email, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. That's ryan@nzherald.co.nz. Or you can comment in our YouTube section below if that's how you're watching us this morning. Right, it is time to take a look at the week ahead for the markets, thanks to our partners Forsyth Barr. Zoe Wallace is with us. Zoe, good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So Wednesday, we're getting our OCR decision this week, aren't we?
That is right. So we've got the Reserve Bank out at 2 p.m. on Wednesday afternoon. Very much a clear consensus expectation that they will deliver another interest rate cut. This time round, 25 basis points is the view, and we agree with that one. Look, that's very much priced in by markets and kind of the consensus expectation. So if they deliver 25, the expectation is that they will also leave the door open for possible further rate cuts, but may not promise that. So the big focus will be on, they have an OCR track projection that they include in their full monetary policy statement report. So everyone will be glimpsing quickly at that one to get a gauge on just how much further they may or may not think they need to ease interest rates from here.
All right, then Thursday, Zoe, we get ANZ's economic outlook or business confidence, I should say. What are you expecting from that?
Yeah, so what we've seen is that, the headline in terms of business confidence has actually been quite positive. So people have been saying, yes, things in 12 months' time are going to get better. We can see kind of light on the horizon. But what you're looking at in terms of actual reported activity has still been quite weak. So, activity volumes have been bouncing around sort of unchanged from where they were a year ago. So what we'll be really focusing in on is whether that's starting to improve and signal a bit of a turnaround and a pickup in activity in terms of the New Zealand economy from here.
New Zealand results season wrapping this week. Any last hurrahs?
Oh, look, Fisher and Paykel and Ryman are probably the two big ones out this week as well, with a scattering kind of the smaller caps as well. It's been quite interesting seeing market reactions to what's been delivered so far. Fisher and Paykel, look, we're neutral on the stock at the moment, but we are expecting to see a little bit more positivity coming through in those results. Ryman have really pre-signaled a lot of their kind of sales levels, but we will be looking for kind of how the turnaround story is going and how they're progressing in things like, cost out programs, etc. as well.
All right, finally.
But that will be
Sorry. Yeah, no, continue.
No, I was just going to say that's sort of the end of reporting season, but we are starting to see a little bit more signals around, activity picking up, and we've also got retail sales out this week, which will be another one to watch.
Absolutely. And the other thing we're watching is Q3 GDP for America. Of course, everybody follows America, and they've had the shutdown, so it's been delayed. What are we expecting to see there?
Yeah, it's tough. We're really operating in a data vacuum, and you can see that in terms of the US markets trying to figure out, are they going to be able to cut interest rates in December or not? Q3 GDP is a component of that, but I think they're also more focused on the forward outlook. We are expecting that, growth in the US economy does still look quite solid. Question mark is how much of that is actually being held up by consumers, which typically account for about 2/3 of the US economy, and how much of that is actually increasingly being held up by AI-related investment and capital expenditure, because that's been an increasing share of what's driving the US economy in recent quarters.
Zoe, thank you. Appreciate your updates on a Monday as always. Zoe Wallace, Forsyth Barr Investment Advisor, and that is thanks to our partners, Forsyth Barr. 6 away from 8 now. Don't forget the PM up after 8. National has dropped its first election promise. It wants to lift the default KiwiSaver rate to 12% by 2032 to match the Aussies. Employer contributions would jump to 6%, increasing by 0.5% each year, but not until 2029, and then the workers would do the same. On ZB this morning, I spoke with Claire Matthews, who's Associate Professor at Massey University Business School, and I started off by asking, is this good?
Well, yes and no. Yes, it's good to see KiwiSaver rates rise, but to see it done in this way is not necessarily the best way.
What's wrong with this way?
It's a little bit piecemeal. We need to actually think about KiwiSaver in bigger terms and think about actually, if we're going to make some changes, how do we want it to look? And yes, one of those changes might be to the default rate, but that should be part of a bigger picture, not a single change. There are other changes that need to be made, which came out of the Retirement Commissioner's report on the review of retirement income last week or the week before. There's things like total remuneration, contributions for over 65-year-olds. Those are just a couple of things, but it's looking at it in a bigger way. And the other issue is that if people think it's too high, because you're not compelled to be a member of KiwiSaver, they'll just say, or to continue to contribute, they'll just say, I can't afford this, I'll put it on hold, and therefore then they're not contributing anything, which is actually a worse situation.
Yeah, it's basically choose your own adventure. You can choose to be in it or not be in it, and you can choose which rate you go with. So what the total remuneration issue has been raised with me before. So tell me how this works. An employer will say, yeah, we could do our 6% rate and match your 6% rate, or we could give you the money now in hand.
Basically, that's how it works, yeah. So instead of putting it into your KiwiSaver, they say, we'll give it to you, and then it's your responsibility to put it into your KiwiSaver or put it somewhere else, but you're not actually going to get it as an extra to your salary. It's put into your salary. That's fine for some very high-earning employees, your chief executives and C-suite people, but it's when it gets applied to everybody, and CEOs and the like have a bit more power in terms of their relationship with their employer. But some employers do this to people who really have no power in their relationship, and they've really got no choice but to go along with it, even though it's not in their best interest or what they want.
Does it not have the same, in terms of financial outlay, would it be no different for the employer, whether they're paying into a KiwiSaver or giving them it to them up front?
Fundamentally, it shouldn't cost any difference.
So why would they do it?
Because it just makes it a lot easier. Instead of having to worry about payments going here, there and everywhere, they just have to worry about what amount to pay.
And that was me earlier on News Talk ZB, speaking to Claire Matthews, who's Associate Professor at Business School at Massey University. Time is 3 minutes away from 8 o'clock now. Some of your comments to the Prime Minister, I won't be able to read him. Just be nice. This one is entitled Jealousy. This is via email. Why do people think that because you have a nice warm home, you basically forget about those who don't? This is not how the world works. Those people that own more than one home usually work hard, take risks, and have the ongoing problems of good or bad tenants. There's an old saying, the harder you work, the luckier you are. Funny how these people always pick on National and leave others alone. I think you'll find that the reason, he's referring to front page of the Herald today, which is an analysis or an expose on how much property our MPs own. The reason National figures so prominently is because they are in the top, they own the most property, or their property values are the most out of all the political parties. It's for that reason and that reason only. Now, a NASA astronaut aboard the International Space Station has shared a striking video of the Northern Lights from above. Zaina Cardman, wow, look at this, captured a video of the Aurora Borealis. How do you say the last bit? Borealis, that's right. Aurora Borealis. Hard to say, beautiful to see. This is on board the International Space Station. The video shows the glow of the aurora shimmering across the horizon, a delicate curtain of green, purple and red light dancing above the curvature of Earth. Cardman is currently serving as commander for NASA's SpaceX mission that was launched on August the 1st. Just doesn't look real, does it? Now, Germany, I said I would get to this very quickly. So the Germans are building back their military might. So their goal is 260,000 soldiers by 2035. They currently have 180,000 soldiers. They also want an extra 200,000 reservists by 2035. And so what they're doing is from next year, all 18-year-olds are going to receive a questionnaire about their interest in serving in the military. And this is for men. All men from 2027 aged 18 or over will have to undergo mandatory medical examinations to try and get them into the zone. The reason they're doing all of this, of course, Russia, but the commander of Germany's chief of defence, has said that NATO should be prepared for a possible Russian attack within the next 4 years, possibly as early as 2029, and that member states, it's a bit of a dire warning, member states should be ready for it. Right now, it is 8 o'clock. Kia ora, good morning. I'm Ryan Bridge. This is Herald Now. It is the 24th of November. On the show this hour, the economy's still spluttering, Winston's off the chain, and it seems like the knives are out. So, how does the Prime Minister think this week's going to go? He's with us live at the desk. A looming strike, constant complaints about high fares and worries about cancellations. Is Air New Zealand doing enough to reward your loyalty? The panel weighs in on this one. And a Category 4 cyclone, Fina, brought 400 millimetres of rain and 200 km/h winds to Darwin, but it survived the worst storm in 50 years. We're there shortly to see how the clean-up's going. First, Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by Newstalk ZB. National's first election promise could make life more difficult for small businesses. Leader Christopher Luxon wants workers and employers to lift their default KiwiSaver contributions each to 6% by 2032. Small Business Voice Managing Director Max Whitehead says the policy ignores the difficulties many small businesses are facing trying to stay afloat at the moment. He says it's basically another tax on businesses. Whitehead says this will only add to their problems when many are closing their doors. Our 123 MPs own a combined $379 million worth of property. Our newsrooms found National MPs dominated the property rich list. Rangitike's Suze Redmayne leading the charge with a $24.3 million portfolio. Christopher Luxon's second on the podium with $15.2 million worth of property. Ex-Parmjeet Palmer is fifth. New Zealand First's top showing is Winston Peters at 11th. Then Labour's Willie Jackson comes in at 17th. Counter-proposals to the US peace plan for Russia's invasion of Ukraine are emerging as European, US and Ukrainian officials hash out discussions in Switzerland. Russia's backing the 28-point plan, which would include Ukraine ceding territory and ditch efforts to join NATO. US President Donald Trump's accusing Ukrainian leaders of showing zero gratitude over US peace efforts. Europe is pushing the US to give a stronger security guarantee for Ukraine, similar to a NATO one. MSD officials have warned the government benefit changes could lead to increased demand on food banks. In November next year, job seeker eligibility is changing, so 18 and 19-year-olds are subject to a parental income test in order to prevent people from staying in a cycle of welfare. The steep insurance price hikes we've been seeing in recent decades now appear to be over. The average quote for one house, one contents and one comprehensive car policy on insurance comparison website Quashed has increased just 2% in the past year. But Kiwis are still paying more than a third more for insurance now than they were 3 years ago. Billions are at stake for small businesses this holiday season if buyers shop elsewhere. Accounting service Xero reveals $11 billion could enter our small business sector if consumers move just 10% of their spending away from big business. They're urging shoppers to choose locally as Black Friday and Christmas approach. Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young says larger offshore providers can lag in product quality, and she says that local vendors must comply with the Trading Act, consumer guarantees and safety standards. Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport. Formula One's World Championship has been reignited after both McLaren cars were disqualified from the Las Vegas Grand Prix due to technical infringements. Race winner Max Verstappen remains within striking distance of the title with 2 races left. Cricket Australia is facing an estimated $3 million loss from the two-day Ashes opener in Perth due to missed ticket revenue. All Blacks forwards coach Jason Ryan accepts questions will be asked of where his side sits 2 years from Rugby's World Cup after a 10-win, 3-loss season. Herald Now weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Ata Maria, good morning. Not a bad day to kick off the working week, but the weather will deteriorate from around Wednesday with the next approaching low pressure system. The one thing about today, though, it is going to be noticeably chilly in the South Island. For the lower south, you're about average for this time of year, although Timaru hitting only 13 degrees today. Christchurch and Ashburton likely to only warm to 14 degrees. It's all thanks to a southeasterly that turns northeast tonight. A few showers around in the east as well. Now, there will be a few showers for Wellington, but it's not going to last, with clearing skies this afternoon. Lovely weather for Taranaki. The sou'wester turns sou'east there this evening. Now, the morning is the better half of the day here, with showers becoming widespread from the afternoon. Easterlies develop for Hawke's Bay this morning. And apart from the odd shower for Northland from this afternoon, the upper north might just be the place to be. Fine skies with a sou'westerly for you, Auckland, easing tonight.
Welcome back. It is 6 minutes after 8. It's been a bit of a bruising few weeks for Christopher Luxon. Polling's delivered a brutal verdict of his government, showing voters trust Labor more than National on almost every key election issue. And talk of a leadership challenge just won't go away. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon joins me at the desk this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan. How's the foot, mate?
Oh, good. I just put
you run the seat over it.
I put my seat on my foot.
Have you fractured it, do you reckon?
No, just a bit of skin.
Just need a boo-boo, yeah.
Just a little bit of a boo-boo. Speaking of, do you feel like one for National?
No. Look, I think it's hard to take seriously because I've heard those stories right from the beginning. And so what I'm doing is focus very much on my job. And as I keep saying, polls, commentariat, rumours, my job is to get on with the country and getting it sorted for people.
But who would you listen to? What is it when you go home at the end of a bad week and you talk to Amanda? What does Amanda say?
I have lots of people around me that I take feedback to and I listen to and are really good advisors. But this has been a difficult time for New Zealand. Let's be honest about it. It's been a big recession. We've had to fix a lot of fundamentals. We're working our way through it, and it's pretty simple. I was elected to do a job in 2023. In 2026, New Zealanders will have their say whether they think we've done a good job or otherwise. And my job is to head down, tail up, keep going.
No, I understand that, but your job, you are doing your job. You said you would bring interest rates down. Now, whether that's the government or not, but interest rates have come right down, and people have got more money in their pocket, and your polling results aren't reflecting the gratitude that people have. And so people are saying, it's not about the policy, it's about you.
Well, just say on polls, can we be honest, there is lots of polls saying lots of different things, right? So, and if I spent all my time, honestly, Ryan, focused on polls,
the last
23
polls National has registered as the most popular party in only 7. Labor's claimed 16.
I would just say to you, when New Zealanders are going to look at the choice that they have next year, it's a pretty simple thing. Do you want a strong, stable government with the coalition that you've seen over the last 2 years, or do you want the mess that's on the other side, which is Labour, Party Māori, the Greens and 2 independents now? And I just think New Zealanders will make that choice. My job is to make sure that I can make that choice clear to New Zealanders, that I am trying to fix the economy. We are doing everything we can to fix the basics that we went horribly wrong. And as you saw yesterday, we start talking about building out for the future, about expanding
savings. And I want to talk
investment.
about that. I want to talk about KiwiSaver. Do you think Winston will go with whoever the biggest party is?
No, I think you've seen strong, good, stable government from a 3-party coalition government. We are in an MMP environment. Parties will have different positions. That's okay, but you've seen a coalition government very united around the core things that have brought us together. We're delivering against those things. And as we go into election year, parties will have different positions, and that's okay.
KiwiSaver, why are you waiting so long for this to kick in? It's only 0.25% in next term.
We're not. We actually started this in budget 2025. We're at 6% today. We're lifting it to 8% by 2028. And then we've got a 0.5% increase every year out to 2032 to get to a 12% contribution rate. That gives employees and it also gives employers time to actually adjust and to think about that.
What do you think people should be using to retire on? Property?
Well, actually, I think there's a range of investments that people should be thinking about.
What's your plan? What's your setup?
Oh, well, everyone has their own individual thing, but I've got a portfolio of things like that I've built out over time, and as I've worked my way through shares and
property.
Shares and lots of things. Different.
Well,
things.
you've sold most of your properties, your rental properties.
Well, it's not about me and my properties. What it's about is making sure that the average New Zealander actually has a bigger retirement nest egg. It's actually about making sure that we have them more domestic pools of capital here in this country that we can invest into infrastructure. That's what this is about. It's about saying we have an awesome future in New Zealand. We have a great potential in this country, but one of the things that's been holding us back for decades is low savings and investment rates, and this is going to put us on that path.
I agree. I think it's the right thing to do, but it's not the KiwiSaver money is not largely going to be invested in New Zealand businesses, is it? It's all going to the US stock market.
Well, I actually disagree. If you look at the
vast majority is.
Well, no, maybe today, but as you think about that becoming a bigger pool of capital, and as you think about a government that's actually giving greater visibility about investable projects that we might do in public-private partnerships and all those good things. You see it in Australia. You see the pension schemes in Australia. They're invested, I think, almost 50% naturally in assets that are in Australia. In New Zealand, it's been less than 10%.
You sold all your rental properties. Why did you sell them?
Oh, those are personal decisions, got nothing to do with this conversation.
Did you invest that money into more productive things?
Well, again,
that's what you're telling people to do, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's not about me and my personal finances.
I know it's not about you, but I think people would be interested to know.
No, I don't think they are. I think what they're interested to know is that we've got a government that I want New Zealand to be richer. I want New Zealanders to be wealthier. I want them to be able to have more choices, so they've got more opportunities, so they get to do what they want to do. As I said yesterday, Australia is 25% wealthier than New Zealand. Ireland, a country we often look at, is twice as wealthy as New Zealand. Singapore, 3 times as wealthy as New Zealand per person. And so when you create more wealth for people, you're able to actually lift living standards for everybody. That's one of the things that this long-term savings and investment plan has got to do.
Are you doing a reshuffle this summer? And who's your top performing minister at the moment?
Oh, look, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of great ministers that we've got the right people on the right assignments at the right time. And as I said, I don't subscribe to reshuffles for reshuffle's sake. I will make adjustments as I've need to and as I have done.
Who needs work?
Again, not going into that. I mean, I have conversations with each of the ministers about what I'm expecting them to do, where they need support, where they need to be challenged, and that works really well for us.
Have you ever thought about quitting?
Never. No. I came to politics 4 years ago because I could do lots of other things, but I choose to do this because I want to do this.
Have people offered you jobs while you've been in the job?
I want to be able to make sure I can actually get this country to realise its potential. That's really important to me. And, I believe in New Zealand. I spent 16 years overseas. I came home. I think this is a fabulous country. I want it set up right for our kids and our grandkids. I see the potential of what can be here, and that's very energising, very exciting.
Has anyone ever come up to you and said, hey, I've got a job for you?
Oh, no, they don't get time because I haven't got time to talk to people about that sort of stuff. I'm very focused on doing what I need to do.
Hey, with the pension, I know that you guys have come to the election previously with an age of entitlement change. I'm guessing you'll do it again next year?
Yeah, we'll go to the election with a thought around that. I mean, we've had a long-standing position in the last 3 elections, I think, about moving it from 65 to 67. I think for good reason, it's about the affordability of the scheme, but more importantly, New Zealanders are living at least 1 or 2 more years every decade than they were. In 2001, we moved the age to 65. UK, Australia, Canada have moved to 67, and New Zealanders are now living 4 years longer than they were back in 2001. So, there's some logic for just saying, we should get aligned with other countries, and that would make sense.
Rates cap, we're going to get one announced by Christmas.
Yeah, we've got a bit on before Christmas. RMA reform, obviously we've got thoughts around what that means for local government and how we radically simplify that. And then equally rates caps so that we can make sure that councils are doing their very best at making sure they put the money on the must-do stuff, not the nice-to-do stuff.
With the rates cap, will you say it has to be, you can't increase rates by more than inflation?
I'm not going to predetermine that policy. I'll let Simon Watts come out and talk about that shortly. But suffice to say, we've had a very good set of advisors with us that have been thinking that through as to how we can manage that.
And with the amalgamation, are you going to force councils to join up?
Well, all I'm saying is that we've got quite radical RMA reform. We're imagining a world where 40% of consents are not needed going forward. That is radical simplification. And as a result, what are the...
Do we need so many councils?
What is the role of local government and the layers of management and government that we have that I think just drives into creating massive bureaucracy in this country. And so we'll have more to say about that very shortly.
We have something like 78 authorities, territorial authorities.
We have a combination of district councils, and then we have regional councils as well on top, and then we've got central government. And
what's a more reasonable number?
Well, I'm not predetermining that, because every country will make its own call about that.
Will you say?
But I've got to set up a system where I think we need radical simplification ultimately to get rid of the bureaucracy so that we can get things done and built.
Are you talking about fewer councils, or are you talking about less bureaucracy within existing councils?
Again, I'll let that announcement will come from Simon Watts and Chris Bishop shortly.
All right. I apparently am keeping you from a flight, so I better let you go. Prime Minister, nice to have you on the program.
Good to be with you. Hope the foot gets better, mate.
I'm sure it will. Thank you. Christopher Luxon, who is the Prime Minister, it's just gone 8:15. Coming up, the Kiwi woman shaking up the health system with a new app that makes it easier to access patient files. And then the panel's in to talk us through the big stories of the day, all ahead on Herald Now.
When building for investment, it's important to find a team that you can trust.
We decided to build the GJs because of the good quality that they always provide us.
They help us throughout the whole process of getting the resource consent to the building consent, and their contracts are very easy to understand. We have built 4 houses with GJ gardeners, and it's just easier every time we work with them.
I'll definitely recommend GJs to all of my friends and family.
If you're thinking of building, choose the builder you'll want to build with time and time again.
I became a Herald journalist to get at the truth.
I became a Herald journalist to share not only what's going on, but also what it means.
To help people make up their own minds about the issues that matter.
To give a voice to every New Zealander and to expose the issues affecting our communities.
To make sure that people that are in positions of power are held to account.
To enact change that will ultimately benefit all of society.
To take our readers closer to the action.
I became a Herald journalist for the facts first. That's the reason we're here.
If it's news you can trust, it's news worth knowing. The New Zealand Herald.
You Do It delivers high-quality New Zealand-made flat-pack DIY kitchen cabinetry. With flexible widths at your fingertips, it makes designing easy. All at an affordable price because you order online and cut out the middleman. You can even upgrade your dream kitchen with You Do It stylish and clever options, like choosing wall cabinets with overhanging doors, or select from a range of pull-out storage solutions. Add premium soft-close drawers and ask to stretch the height, width or depth of your cabinets. Upgrade your kitchen today and head to newsroom.co.nz.
Term deposit rates are falling, but your returns shouldn't. Speak to a Foresight Bar investment advisor about alternative strategies, their benefits and risks, and how they can help you meet your investment goals. Foresight Bar, investment advice.
Welcome back. It is 17 minutes after 8. Great to have your company this morning. Don't forget you can email me, ryan@nzherald.co.nz. Arlene Goodwin knows all too well how hard it is to access medical records in New Zealand. Her son Luca was born with a heart defect, which meant he's had to have 3 open heart surgeries, the first when he was just 4 days old. Now she's launching an app to give people secure personal control of their health information. And she is joining us now. Arlene, good morning.
Good morning.
AI Health.
Yep, My Health.
Oh, My Health.
My Health, yeah. So it's a little play on words. We have got closed circuit AI to facilitate people retrieving their records from within the app.
Tell us about Luca and take us back to the very start. What sort of condition does he have?
So he is hypoplastic right. So he was born with effectively half a heart, so he couldn't oxygenate his blood. Together with a whole lot of other complications. So we found out in utero, my husband and I, and had the option not to continue with the pregnancy, but we continued, and he was born and operated on by an amazing surgeon in New Zealand, Kirsten Finucane, within sort of 4 days. And then he had a second surgery at 4 months, and unfortunately after that surgery, suffered medical misadventure in post-operative care, and had a stroke. Okay. And that sort of took out 2/3 of the left brain function. So, prognosis, he'll never walk, he'll never talk. So as a result of that, I didn't return to work, and, basically we just spent, all our time the last 10 years doing his rehab and medical care. He had a 3rd surgery, which was successful at 3 years. And then in 2020, just before he turned 5, we moved to the US. And he had a massive surgery over there as well.
Really? Did you move for surgery?
No.
That was unrelated?
Unrelated. We moved with my husband's job. And, one of the key criteria was making sure that we could access insurance to get cover in the US. So their system's amazing, but you need insurance cover. So, the bank had my husband worked for a bank, and the bank had amazing insurance cover. So thankfully, because he developed, as a result of the damage that was caused from the stroke, he ended up developing a condition called ESES, which is elliptical status seizures and sleep. And so he needed to have a hemispherectomy where they disconnected the whole left side of his brain in 2024. And then he and I lived in a rehabilitation hospital in New Jersey while my husband was based in New York. So
wow.
For 3 months. So yeah, we've lived the real pointy end of the stick in terms of the medical journey.
You have
across multiple jurisdictions.
How's Luca today?
Look, he's amazing. He's a teacher in grit and resilience. He never complains. He's got a great sense of humour. And his whole body has just flicked to the opposite side of his brain, and he's got challenges, but he's a delight. So he holds the whole family together. He's amazing.
You're proud of him?
Be careful, I'll start crying. Of course. Yeah, no, he's incredibly resilient.
And
so.
He's, I think, probably very proud of you because you've held it all together. And you've battled through, and I do mean battled through health systems, because that's what it's like for mums.
Yep.
Tell us about that experience, and that's what's led to the app.
Sure. So I think, the doctors and nurses within the healthcare system are phenomenal. Like, I think in New Zealand, we have top-level health professionals. The issue that we have is that there is no central data repository to share information. And as a result of that, information just gets lost. So, what is with your GP is not in line with what's with your specialist, is not in line with the hospital. So everyone, I think, assumes falsely that everything goes back to the GP. It should, but it just doesn't. Blood tests get sent by like a specialist. You see a specialist in private care or at the hospital. They don't go back to the GP. Medications come from a specialist. They don't go back to the GP. And something that still completely astounds me is that the DHBs have no ability to access one another's systems to see.
Insane.
It's insane for a country of 5.5 million people. So, we had that experience in Queenstown. We had taken Luca we had a family wedding, and we'd gone down to, this is, when he was quite little, and he had a seizure. We ended up at Queenstown Lakes. It was too complicated, so they sent us to the Southern District Health Board in Invercargill. And time was really critical, and they were asking me for the contact details for his cardiologist and neurologist in Auckland. Now, thankfully, I'm a bit of an Uber geek, so I had a big folder. I literally carried around a massive A4 binder. And
everywhere?
Everywhere. If we were out of Auckland.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is kept in my head, though, as well. So that tension was there. I was very aware of it. And then we moved to the States, and it's the same challenges, but in a very different way. Their system is controlled by the pharmaceutical companies and the insurers. And so they try to get you end to end within one framework, one particular network of doctors from GP all the way through to surgeons. And so, they make that information process streamlined. But then no one does that. You follow the best doctor. And so when I was in the States for Luca, I was running 7 apps, and there's no sharing.
No.
So the doctors are relying on me to tell them what's going on with him.
So this is where your app comes in.
Yep.
So your app, you can take cross jurisdictions,
Yep.
cross regions, cross hospitals, cross doctors, and it keeps all of the health information in one place.
Yes, it essentially gives, so we flick the narrative on its head. I think, you know, the health sector globally is aware of the issue, but they are constrained by privacy because they are dealing with individual health data, you know, health data pertaining to individuals. We own our own personal health information and we can do with it as we like. So we are entitled to all health information created on us globally. I think most people either don't realise that or they just have nowhere to put it securely. So we have created this app which is HIPAA and GDPR privacy level, highest privacy level compliant. It's, you know, encrypted, it's got everything to give you utmost security. We are not geographically locked, so it is, you can take your information from anywhere in the world and you can securely store it. But more importantly, the closed circuit AI we've built, because you think about the volume of information that all of us have, particularly as you get older like myself, you know, the closed circuit AI allows you to find it. So you
Easily.
don't have to remember who did what.
Look, it's a brilliant
share
idea. It's a brilliant idea, and I'm sorry that you had to think of it.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you have.
No, thank you very much.
Is Luca watching this morning? How old's Luca now?
He's 11.
11.
No, he's at school.
Oh, he's at school. I was going to say, Luca, once you get to teenage years, you will hate this woman, but you shouldn't. You've been an amazing mum.
Thank you
for
very
coming
much.
on the
Thank
show
you,
this
Ryan.
morning. And just to clarify, it's Arlene Goodwin from My Health, which is MAI.
Yes, thank you.
Brilliant. Arlene, nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
It is 26 minutes after 8. We will have the panel next.
Finally landed south of the equator, ready for some warm family memories.
This rebel is great for holiday gatherings. Care for an iced? Or hot?
Holiday as, bro.
Nobody has supreme knowledge of Christmas gifting like Noel Leeming.
Ah, here she is. How's the business going?
Good, actually. We just switched to 2 degrees. Well, we tested the networks and couldn't see any difference. But 2 degrees has the most satisfied customers. With Flex, we get instant control of phone plans, data usage, and cost center reporting. And they're the fastest growing business network.
You can have what she's having.
Sing your heart out to Coast's feel-good 80s hits. Kenny Loggins. Whitney. John Farnham. Eurythmics. Bonnie Tyler. Eric Carmen. The most 80s are on Coast. Sing your heart out. Coast.
In 1985, my grandfather set out to make the world a better tea. That's why we grow our own, unlike other tea companies. Then pick the best leaves by hand, not machine, and pack it right here in Sri Lanka. But it's not just the taste that makes our tea better. 15% of our profit goes to humanity and to the elephants. As my grandfather said,
Do try it.
Welcome back. It is time for the panel. Carmen Visilic is with us, Velocity founder and global CEO. Damien Light is here, Howick local board member, former leader of United Future. Good morning.
Kia ora, good morning.
Good to see you both. We'll start with Air New Zealand. Carmen, we had the CEO on this morning. A lot of our viewers gave him a bit of flack for flights delayed, etc. You have a good experience with Air New Zealand. What's your vibe?
I'm always loyal to the local business, so I'm many years co-elite banked, as you'd probably imagine, for the global business, and I think it's sort of up and down. But I think they are trying, but yeah, it can be up and down.
Damien?
I don't travel as much as I used to be fair. But I've always had pretty good experiences with Air New Zealand. I do try to travel, the national carrier when I can. But I do think they have got a reliability problem. And I do think when they're charging the prices they're charging locally for domestic flights, I think there's an expectation that they'll be reliable and that they will travel when they need to, right? And when delays happen and things go wrong, I understand that, but they do have real impacts on people. And I think they need to do more to empower their frontline staff to be able to make changes and to do things.
Yes.
Because it just feels like people get pushed back and it's, I'll ring the 0800 number and deal with it that way. And actually, you're at the airport, you've got your luggage, you want to get on a plane, the people at the gate, in my experience, they've been amazing, but it sounds like they're starting to lose that ability.
Yeah, a bit of a problem, eh?
Yeah.
But by the sounds of it, they're looking at fixing some of that stuff, which we heard this morning. Now, MP's property, the Herald lead this morning is about just the value of the properties that our parliamentarians own. Carmen, do you think that's a problem, or do you think that just reflects what everyone else probably owns?
Exactly.
Mostly.
It's not a problem, and I think, actually, if somebody's successful and they've decided to put their money in property and pay a mortgage or provide a rental property, then who cares? And as you know, we're all about transparency of data, and Velocity's proud to be NZME's One Roof partner and provide property data so anyone can look up the value of a property. But, if you've worked hard and decided to put your money in property, then great, good on you. I think we should celebrate it. I don't think it needs to be front page news.
Damien?
Yeah, I think it is a reflection of New Zealand. We have an obsession with property, which is a whole other problem, and I think first home buyers know this, the issue we have around the property market, but I don't think we can blame the MPs for that. I think it is a reflection. I do think it says something about the country, though, that our representatives, most of them are large landowners and they've got a lot of money. And I think that's more about the case that to become a politician, my limited experience, you need to have quite a bit of financial backing and you need to be quite financially secure. And I guess the concern is that you can end up with a bunch of MPs in Parliament who don't really represent the people that they're supposed to be serving. And I don't think that's there yet, but I think there's a risk, and that's why the visibility is so important, so that we can actually see what's going on.
But I disagree. I think that's why you have coalition parties, and that's where you have multiple representatives. And I'm sure you could also do a list of all the people in any party that don't own a property or that are renting or that have lived overseas. So I think it's a really mix, because I remember us doing a focus group when we launched one of our Velocity products for investors. And what amazed me is how many people are property investors in New Zealand. They were teachers that owned 2 properties. Everybody wants to buy an investment property. I don't have any investment properties, but it was amazing that Kiwis put their money in property and they see it as a stable thing. So I don't think that should be a bad thing.
It's the retirement plan, isn't it? Forever and a day, we've been told that it's the way that you will retire more comfortably. So,
yeah. But I think that the shame is what we're doing by investing in property. What we're not doing is investing in businesses, particularly in local businesses. And I think there's always been a capital investment problem in New Zealand, and obviously, we're not talking about mums and dads aren't going to be solving that problem, but I do think there's a wider problem with the way we invest our money, and property is part of it, and it should always be. But I think there's an over-reliance in New Zealand for an investment when it comes to property.
I'll do this very quickly on the whole Luxon leadership thing, and then we'll move to the fun story. Do you think he should step aside? Would that change anything for National and their vote? Do you think, Damien?
Not at this stage. I think it's too late.
No, nor do I. What do you think, Carmen?
I don't think he should. I think he's doing a superb job, and I think there's a lot of narrative of how you position things, glass half full or glass half empty. Certainly, as a global business, he's been incredibly supportive with the policies, particularly India, in New Zealand investment, bringing global investment back. To your point, that businesses need investment, and there's only so much money in New Zealand. So no, definitely not.
All right, now the fun story. So Dakota Bar in Wellington. This is in Courtney Place. They have apparently got themselves in a bit of trouble with the Alcohol Regulatory and Licensing Authority, aka Wowzers. They have come out and said you can't, so they have a pub quiz, and the prize is wait for it, a bar tab at the pub, and they're like, oh, that's sort of free alcohol or giving away alcohol, which is apparently a problem.
Oh my goodness, the world's gone mad. We have gone crazy. If you want to drink, that's up to you. And if you've taken yourself to a bar and they're giving you a free bar tab, how is that wrong? That's just like saying a restaurant shouldn't give a restaurant voucher, or a petrol station shouldn't give a petrol station voucher. It's just nuts.
I think it's gone a bit too far. What do you think, Damien?
Yeah, I don't understand it. It feels like there must be more to the story, because it just doesn't make any sense. Because exactly, it's a bar, it's a restaurant, this is what they provide, and winning a bar tab for a quiz night is standard. That's that's normally the prize, and you normally have them in the bar, and then I think it's it seems perfectly normal, and I don't understand why they seem to have the book thrown at them. It's
very weird.
And something else to worry about.
I agree. Good to see you this morning, both this morning. Thank you very much for coming
Thanks
in.
for having us.
That is Howick local board member Damien Light and Velocity founder and global CEO Carmen Visilic. Here's Neva.
Herald Now News, powered by News Talk ZB.
National's first election promise could make life more difficult for small businesses. Leader Christopher Luxon wants workers and employers to lift their default KiwiSaver contributions each to 6% by 2032. Small Business Voice Managing Director Max Whitehead says the policy ignores the difficulties many small businesses are facing trying to stay afloat at the moment. He says it's basically another tax on businesses. Whitehead says this will only add to their problems when many are closing their doors. Our 123 MPs own a combined $379 million worth of property. Our newsrooms found National MPs dominated the property rich list. Rangitike's Suze Redmayne leading the charge with a $24.3 million portfolio. Christopher Luxon's second on the podium with $15.2 million worth of property. Parmjeet Palmer is fifth. New Zealand First's top showing is Winston Peters at 11th. Then Labour's Willie Jackson comes in at 17th. Counter-proposals to the US peace plan for Russia's invasion of Ukraine are emerging as European, US and Ukrainian officials hash out discussions in Switzerland. Russia's backing the 28-point plan, which would include Ukraine ceding territory and ditch efforts to join NATO. US President Donald Trump's accusing Ukrainian leaders of showing zero gratitude over US peace efforts. Europe is pushing the US to give a stronger security guarantee for Ukraine, similar to a NATO one. MSD officials have warned the government benefit changes could lead to increased demand on food banks. In November next year, job seeker eligibility is changing, so 18 and 19-year-olds are subject to a parental income test in order to prevent people from staying in a cycle of welfare. The steep insurance price hikes we've been seeing in recent decades now appear to be over. The average quote for one house, one contents and one comprehensive car policy on insurance comparison website Quashed has increased just 2% in the past year. But Kiwis are still paying more than a third more for insurance now than they were 3 years ago. Billions are at stake for small businesses this holiday season if buyers shop elsewhere. Accounting service Xero reveals $11 billion could enter our small business sector if consumers move just 10% of their spending away from big business. They're urging shoppers to choose locally as Black Friday and Christmas approach. Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young says larger offshore providers can lag in product quality, and she says that local vendors must comply with the Trading Act, consumer guarantees and safety standards.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Ata Maria, good morning. Not a bad day to kick off the working week, but the weather will deteriorate from around Wednesday with the next approaching low pressure system. The one thing about today, though, it is going to be noticeably chilly in the South Island. For the lower south, you're about average for this time of year, although Timaru hitting only 13 degrees today. Christchurch and Ashburton likely to only warm to 14 degrees. It's all thanks to a southeasterly that turns northeast tonight. A few showers around in the east as well. Now, there will be a few showers for Wellington, but it's not going to last, with clearing skies this afternoon. Lovely weather for Taranaki. The sou'wester turns sou'east there this evening. Now, the morning is the better half of the day here, with showers becoming widespread from the afternoon. Easterlies develop for Hawke's Bay this morning. And apart from the odd shower for Northland from this afternoon, the upper north might just be the place to be. Fine skies with a sou'westerly for you, Auckland, easing tonight.
You're watching Herald Now. Great to have your company this morning. It is 22 minutes away from 9. Darwin is now in clean-up mode after tropical cyclone Fina tore through at the weekend. The Category 3 storm brought destructive winds of nearly 200 kilometres an hour and heavy downpours broke rainfall records. Tens of thousands of people were left without power and the roof of a major hospital caved in as Fina passed through. ABC Radio Darwin breakfast presenter Adam Steer is with us now. Adam, good morning.
Good morning.
So was it a direct hit?
It was a close miss. So those speeds, 200 kilometres an hour, are at the core of the cyclone. The cyclone passed between Darwin and the Tiwi Islands, which is about 100 kilometres in difference. And so if it had been closer to Darwin, we would have had a lot more damage. The official estimates around the airport were just over 100 kilometres an hour gusts of wind, but we do know unofficially, we think around 130 to 150 kilometres an hour gusts of wind. Had that cyclone come closer, there would have been sustained winds of maybe up to 180 kilometres an hour. You can see there that a lot of tree damage. We've got more than 20 schools have closed today. I was driving around yesterday, and you could see a lot of those bigger trees had fallen on houses or fences. The good news is, though, that so far nobody was seriously hurt. So residents took advice from the authorities and they stayed indoors and bunkered down. Where I was staying, we lost power at about 7 o'clock at night, and I'd moved to a house that I live in one of the old houses there, built in the 60s. They're built on stilts. I moved to a house made of bricks because, you know, the Three Little Pigs story. So we went there and unfortunately lost power at about 7 o'clock. And compared to your temperatures, the average temperature at the moment is about 20 or 33 degrees. It's really humid. So it was a hot night trying to sleep on the tiles of the kitchen floor to try and keep cool.
Hey, what happened with the hospital?
So the hospital, our main hospital here in Darwin, the Royal Darwin Hospital, it looks like from the pictures that we've seen that some of the first floor collapsed. That was just outside the accident emergency centre. There is evidence of bricks there, as you'll see in some of the footage later on. So we'll be speaking to the health department later on today to find out exactly what happened and how confident residents and authorities are that the hospital is safe. We got about 300 mils of water within and rain within that 24-hour period. That might sound like a lot. Tropics can deal with that large rainfall. At the same time, though, we had one of the highest tides of the year at just over 7 metres. So the storm surge could have been worse, but you know, it's pretty much a lucky escape. And a lot of residents in Darwin, like me, will be feeling their backs this morning because they spent yesterday on the chainsaw trying to clear all the rubble from around their homes.
Well, I'm pleased to know that you are safe and well, and so are your fellow residents. And good luck with that humidity.
Yeah, thank you so much.
That's ABC Radio Darwin breakfast presenter Adam Steer with us live this morning, 19 minutes away from 9 o'clock. Earlier, and actually I'll get to a couple of your emails before we get to Garth. Now, this is on Air New Zealand. We had the Chief Executive in this morning. Ryan, just now, Rotorua to Christchurch direct for the 22nd of January, back the 28th. Fully flexible, $754 return. Hamilton to Christchurch, same dates direct on Jetstar, fully flexible, $214 return. Provincial New Zealand are subsidising Air New Zealand customers on routes that Air New Zealand has competition on. I'm off to Hamilton to get to Christchurch, like many other people from my city. Love your show, says Murray. Murray, thank you for that. Another one on KiwiSaver we'll get to a little later on. We will also have, inside the next 20 minutes, the Tararoa Mayor. We will hear from Garth Bray, and we have Drax Project live at the desk. Well, we have one half of Drax Project live at the desk. One of them has long hair, and the other one's quite handsome.
You Do It DIY can make your new dream kitchen a reality. As a trusted Kiwi manufacturer for 44 years, You Do It has made it easy to design, order and assemble your own dream kitchen, offering a range of colour options and flexible sizing. With excellent online support, our customers all agree that You Do It makes DIY easy, delivering superb quality at a great price. Get your project started today at newsroom.co.nz.
We have completed 4 builds with GJ. Every time we want to think of building, we always go back to GJ.
It's a really good experience throughout the whole process.
They deliver what they promise on, and it feels like working with a family member. It's very easy and trustworthy to work with GJ.
Stop paying the waiting tax. The money you could miss out on by delaying the start of your investment journey. Up your tempo with Tempo, the guided investment app that helps you get started. Don't delay because you don't think you have enough time, money, or know-how. All you need is a goal, and our guidance will help with the rest. Plus, this month, get a guaranteed $10 Kickstarter and the chance to win $1,000. Download Tempo now.
Luke Combs, Morgan Wallen, Kaylee Bell, Jelly Roll, Megan Moroney, Chris Stapleton. All the country stars have come to play on the all-new iHeart Country NZ. Your new home for country is iHeart Country NZ.
16 to 9 on Herald Now. Every Monday we catch up with a mayor to find out what's on the agenda for their region. This week it's Tararua. Scott Gilmore has toppled 3-time incumbent Tracy Collins and says it's time to do things differently. And he's with me now from Ikitahuna, no less. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
So what are you doing differently?
Well, I suppose it's about looking at everything we do, working out how we can do things better and smarter and more efficient. And, you know, that's one of the big things that came up during the campaign, that we need to do things much, much more efficiently as a council. You know, rates are unaffordable as they are, so we've got to make some changes.
What's your rates increase been like in Tararua?
Yeah, not flash, to be honest, Ryan. So we've had double digits 3 years in a row, and our last annual plan, we managed to get that down to sort of just over 7%. Our long-term plan has us projected for over 11% for this year, which is just not acceptable. So we need to be really focused on bringing that number significantly down.
To get that to something more like 7, which is still ridiculous, but better, what do you do? What can you actually cut specifically?
Well, we're in a bit of a different situation as a small council. We don't have a whole lot of nice-to-haves. We don't have a golden mile project that we can just get rid of. About $410,000 equals 1% in rates. So it's not about just finding a project. It's about making council more efficient. You know, another example is for smaller councils, we need to be working together, I think, with other councils. New Zealand has 67 city or district councils all doing pretty much the same thing. All of the back office functions get duplicated 67 times. I'm really keen to work with other mayors, other councils to see how we can actually get more efficient, work together and save some money for ratepayers.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that's pretty much the soundings that the Prime Minister was making on the program this morning. I don't know if you caught his interview. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, basically saying the same thing, that either we need fewer councils, more amalgamation, or all of that bureaucracy, the back end, needs to be amalgamated. So you're saying, I might ring to get help with something at council and I might speak to a call centre somewhere else, but it would...
Potentially. And look, I'm hugely opposed to amalgamation, but I think that we can get some of the efficiencies that could bring. So I think political amalgamation, absolutely not in support of, but you look at all of our back office functions, all of those are duplicated. It could be, could we work together with other councils to produce rates invoices as an example? Could our communications teams work more closely together? Procurement, there's huge opportunities in procurement as well.
Yeah, interesting.
How do we get some of those efficiencies without politically amalgamating?
How good's the motorway been for you?
I tell you what, it has been absolutely incredible, a real game changer for towns like Woodville, but the entire district. And you know, people, since it's been opened, have just had a smile on their face. It has been absolutely amazing. And I encourage anyone, come over, walk over it. It's got one of the best shared paths in the country. And come in, have a cup of coffee in town. It is a pretty awesome feature.
It's beautiful. I have driven over it, saw all the cyclists biking over it. Fantastic idea, keeping cafes busy on your side. What is it called, the motorway? Does it have a name? Or what are you calling it?
So yeah, it's the Te Ahua Tūranga, Manawatu Tararua Highway. So
bit of a
I'm
mouthful.
sure there's different names we'll come up with, to be fair. But yeah, it's a really special thing for us. It was hard fought as well. You know, we managed to get that highway toll free with a bit of a battle.
Yes, you did.
So we're just so grateful.
What's happening, Scott? What's happening with the old, you know, the gorge that you used to drive through? Like beautiful scenic, but then rocks would fall on your car. What's happening with it now? Can you walk through there or bike through there or anything, or is it just no go?
Not legally. No, you can't. So we are really keen to see that's still controlled by NZTA. There's a process going through to revoke that as a state highway. Really keen to make that a feature. It is a stunning place, and I'm sure a lot of people have memories driving through it. But yeah, I'm really keen for that to be a feature for people to come and visit as well.
All right, I have one more question. The Drax Project guys are getting antsy because they want to come on the show, but just that they can wait. And I'm not sure whether maybe the ugly ones always looks antsy. I don't know. But the Christmas parade in Woodville apparently has been cancelled. What's the story?
Oh, it's back. It's back.
Oh, it's back.
Yeah, it is. It is back. Yeah, the Christmas parade, traffic management costs are through the roof. The town of Woodville decided that they just weren't willing to spend, I think it was 10 grand on traffic management. So they decided that they were going to do a protest parade and protest traffic management fees. But there has been a traffic management company, Manawatu Traffic Solutions, actually came to the party and has fully sponsored them. But there's probably a wider thing there, Ryan. Some of these compliance costs, traffic management costs, they are really hurting small town New Zealand. And I don't want our Christmas parades to be, on the endangered species list. So we've got to do some work around that with government to make sure these rules are a bit more sensible.
Scott, appreciate your time this morning. Good luck with the rates cutting. Scott Gilmore, Tararua Mayor. It is 10 to 9 on Herald Now. From busking on the streets of Wellington to becoming one of our biggest musical exports, Drax Project are heading home for a packed summer schedule. They've got new music in the works, a slate of shows planned, and plenty for fans to look forward to. Good morning.
Right. Who's the handsome one? That's the question.
I just want to make clear those are your words, being not mine.
Yeah, they were my words. Look at them.
Why would you start the interview?
So how's it feel? I mean, you must be stoked to be here in New Zealand for a long summer of shows. How does it feel?
Yeah,
great.
Best place to play in the world, hands down. We're playing on Waihi Beach this summer again, which is where Ben's from. He used to actually pour drinks at the bar that we're playing at, so hopefully you can do that again this time.
Fingers crossed.
In between songs, encore.
Crossed, absolutely.
So tell me a little about where you're all at, because you're all kind of spread out at the moment, right? You're in Wellington?
Right. Wellington, yeah. So two of us are in Wellington, Sean, our lead singer, and myself. And then where are you, Ben?
Sam and I we're in Sydney at the moment.
Right.
So we've got this Trans-Tasman thing going on, which is...
Crowded house, kind of.
Crowded house type thing, yeah. Which has made things a little bit difficult on the writing side, but it's good.
Who does the writing?
All of us.
All of us.
That's the difficult part, because we've got two, what do you do? But we've got the internet, so that kind of helps with, like, we can video call each other and write songs, but in terms of jamming, it's pretty tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, can't complain.
But you make it work.
We make it work.
And do you also lead other lives? Do you have other jobs and stuff, or is this full time for you? Is that why you're separated? What's the story?
Yeah, so Sean and I had a baby, not together, but we've got wives, so we've got babies now. So we moved back from Sydney a couple of years ago for that. These guys stayed.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like a family decision. That's kind of why we've split up. These guys love Australia, and they love here, obviously. But so yeah, it's kind of that's the reason, yeah.
You are on the coalface then of this war that's going on, Kiwis living on both sides of the Tasman. Where is it better to live? And for you, it was family that brought you back.
Yeah, I'd say so. And Upper Hutt. Don't know if you've been to Upper Hutt before. That's my born and raised hometown, best place in the world. So I'm back in Upper Hutt.
Yeah.
Ben, are you seeing more Kiwis coming over your way?
There definitely are. There definitely are a few jumping across the ditch. I don't know, we went there just for a switch up, really. We had to change with our label situation at the time, so it was like, oh, we'll try, give it a go.
Yeah.
And enjoying it there for the moment, but to be honest, I feel like we're spending half the year still back over here anyway, which is always back home.
With the writing, the fact that you're all doing the writing,
Yeah.
and yet you're clearly leading different lives. You guys in Sydney, you guys with kids in Wellington. What are you writing about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, the new the new song. This is actually quite. The new song coming out next week is called "Summer Rain," and I've just realised when you said that, summer. Rain, Wellington, Sydney. It's actually a perfect blend. So there you go. Summer Rain is the song coming out next week.
Yeah, it is hard, and it's made our process maybe a little bit slower when it comes to writing because we're all have kind of equal hands in each part of the song.
Yeah.
Someone will bring an idea to the table, and it's like, oh, that's cool, and then as soon as it's brought into the group, is like anything can happen. You know, you kind of gotta. Whichever way the song goes, you kind of got to take your hands off and just see what happens. But yeah, it's a collaborative process which we love, but not being able to be in a room has made things a little bit more difficult.
Does that change the sound as well, or has the sound changed from when you started?
I don't know if it's a result of that particular situation, but it definitely has changed. We kind of.
The new song that...
Are these questions too hard?
Can you guys talk about your music? I don't know. What is our sound? Our new song is actually quite bandy, which is maybe a little bit of a change. We're actually playing our instruments live, and there's not that much else apart from that. A lot of our previous music has a bit of bells and whistles and a bit of magic in there, but this is... drums, bass, guitar, vocals is the song. So that's a change in sound.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we've got this week, and I'm going to let everybody know the dates and where they can come and see you.
Cool.
Beyond that, 2026, what's the plan? What's in the pipeline?
Yeah, well, it'll probably be an extended length of songs, album maybe.
Yep. New music, lots of shows. We've got a trip back to the States planned that we're working on at the moment. Really just more of the same, more shows, more music. Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, you're musicians. So what do you do? Hey, one more question before we go. Everyone talks about Spotify as being great for music as a listener, but not so much as an artist.
Yeah.
Does it kind of feel like it's a bit of a rip-off sometimes because you don't get much money out of it as opposed to selling CDs or whatever it might be?
You don't get much money from streaming. I mean, that's no secret, but it does lead to revenue in other ways, you know. If
there's a trade-off there.
A big listenership on Spotify, you're more likely to get booked for a festival or something like that, which is where you can kind of make most of your money now as a musician.
What's been great is just leaving our music on mute overnight. So just playing it over. So that's how we've done it.
You don't think I do that with our YouTube show?
Get those views up.
Come on, bro. Hey, good to meet you both.
You too, bro.
Likewise,
Thanks so much for coming in. Come in anytime. You can buy Drax Project's tickets for this summer. Their shows at Ticketmaster. They're in Waihi, as Ben said, on New Year's Eve. They're in Okura on the 3rd of January before wrapping up at the iconic Black Barn Vineyards in Havelock North on Friday, the 9th of January. Is that all correct?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Ben O'Leary and Matt Beecham on the program this morning. It is 3 minutes away from 9. Let's get to Garth Bray with business, thanks to our partners 2 Degrees. Chances of a big, fat, juicy 50-point cut to rates seem extremely low this week, but will the Reserve Bank leave the door open for half now, half later? Earlier, I was joined by Garth Bray from Business Desk and started off by asking him whether it looks like we'll just get a 25-point cut, a 25% cut.
Yeah, that's what people are expecting, and suppose looking at whether they're going to, how strong the language is around leaving the door open for a further cut in February, bearing in mind that, you know, inflation looks like it's still sort of bumping up against that sort of 3% level. That the main, I suppose, consideration is you've got a new boss coming in. This is Christian Hawkesby's last go as acting Reserve Bank Governor. Anna Breman takes over next week, and, you know, would you really want to promise something that the next boss is going to have to deliver?
And gives her no headroom, no leeway either, does it?
Yeah, and I guess this, look, looking across all the different, you know, bank economists that look at this in detail and so on, they seem to be at a consensus. They don't think that it's baked in that February they'll come back after summer and say, yep, we're cutting. But it'll be prudent to sort of leave that possibility there. One of the clues we'll look for is the inflation track and see whether it's sort of dropping below 2.15 to 2.1, which would sort of tend to suggest there's more likelihood of a cut then. So there might be some little ways that they can signal by doing that, and that just sort of gives us a bit of a future picture.
So have a look at the fine print.
Yeah.
Now, KiwiSaver, this was a big announcement over the weekend, and National's plan to lift the contribution rates. It's going to take a while to get there. I mean, the first contribution increase isn't until April 2029 or something, and it's only 0.5% then.
Yeah, and this is how you do things, I suppose, slowly and gradually. There will be, I think, looking around, the reaction that we've seen from your Business New Zealand, just trolling through LinkedIn basically this morning, trying to get a bit of an easy read on it this morning. Early giveaway, folks. But, I mean, people have been talking for a while about there needs to be a 10-year plan for how we change KiwiSaver up quite a gear, because we are well short. Business New Zealand put a study out last week that said if we do nothing else, by 2045, every dollar of income tax will be spent funding pensions and healthcare. That's nothing for schools, nothing for roads, nothing for prisons, nothing for defence, nothing for anything else. So things have to change. Whether you accept that assessment is another matter. But there's a big conversation going on. We've got to try and change how we fund things and saving more. But of course, as some people have said, the dollar you save today is the dollar you can't spend today, and that's going to have a contractionary impact on the immediate kind of economy. So I guess that's why
it's so gradual.
Yeah, and look, and there's a lot of debate about this, saying, hey, look, Australia, we'll compare with Australia. This is nothing like what they do in Australia.
No.
12% by the employer is what they do in Australia. This is getting us to 6 plus 6, 6 from you and me, 6 from the employer, and by the time we get to that, Aussie will be 15 or higher, and they'll probably be ploughing huge amounts of money into much more lucrative investments like venture capital.
Totally.
The debate over there is about that.
Which is not to say we shouldn't do it, because it's just that we're very late to the party.
We are so late to the party.
Their savings, pension scheme savings over there is something like $4 trillion.
Because...
And our KiwiSaver is $130 billion.
One reason is because they don't let you take it out for your house. You've got to save extra if you want to put away for a house, and they say, look, this is so. Whereas here we're having a debate about whether farmers and sparkies and firemen should be able to take it out, if they don't live in the house. And
it's because all of our MPs are so property rich. They want to have as much money spent on them as possible.
Yeah, there we go.
Hey, very quickly, speaking of houses and selling houses, there's a place in Remmers that is only to be bought using Bitcoin?
Well, this is the pitch, I suppose. I don't know if we've got some pickies of the Sevenani Crescent. Oh, there you go. Look at that. Listing on the market there at 5.35 million. QV had it at in May last year. I feel like I'm doing the one roof section now.
Nice.
Owners want $6 million, but if it's in New Zealand dollars, they want that to be a little bit higher. They say we want a proficient offer in New Zealand dollars, i.e. a bit better, but they prefer Bitcoin. Because they think
they can keep the chandeliers and the curtains.
Well, yes, because they think that New Zealand dollars are a valueless asset likely to be eaten by inflation. So there you go, even though it's only at 3% at the moment. If you do the numbers, I mean, Bitcoin's been in a record high back in mid-November, about 214K. I think it's about 155K today. So literally just even over the weekend, the amount of Bitcoin you would need to buy to make 6 mil has gone up by a couple of Bitcoin. Hasn't had the stones to say this is the offer in Bitcoin and lock in on that. It's still a New Zealand dollar offer, but then pay for us in Bitcoin, which is interesting. But this would be, if this went through, this would be, I think, the first house transaction, private home transaction in Bitcoin, if they can pull it off. Yeah, interesting.
Very weird. Was there a particular reason?
I think just a particularly enthusiastic lover of the cryptocurrencies is selling this one after
bit of a Bitcoiner
been in the family for about 50 years. So
very nice.
Herald NOW News, powered by News Talk ZB.
National's first election promise could make life more difficult for small businesses. Leader Christopher Luxon wants workers and employers to lift their default KiwiSaver contributions each to 6% by 2032. Small Business Voice Managing Director Max Whitehead says the policy ignores the difficulties many small businesses are facing trying to stay afloat at the moment. He says it's basically another tax on businesses. Whitehead says this will only add to their problems when many are closing their doors. Our 123 MPs own a combined $379 million worth of property. Our newsrooms found National MPs dominated the property rich list. Rangitike's Suze Redmayne leading the charge with a $24.3 million portfolio. Christopher Luxon's second on the podium with $15.2 million worth of property. Parmjeet Palmer is fifth. New Zealand First's top showing is Winston Peters at 11th. Then Labour's Willie Jackson comes in at 17th. Counter-proposals to the US peace plan for Russia's invasion of Ukraine are emerging as European, US and Ukrainian officials hash out discussions in Switzerland. Russia's backing the 28-point plan, which would include Ukraine ceding territory and ditch efforts to join NATO. US President Donald Trump's accusing Ukrainian leaders of showing zero gratitude over US peace efforts. Europe is pushing the US to give a stronger security guarantee for Ukraine, similar to a NATO one. MSD officials have warned the government benefit changes could lead to increased demand on food banks. In November next year, job seeker eligibility is changing, so 18 and 19-year-olds are subject to a parental income test in order to prevent people from staying in a cycle of welfare. The steep insurance price hikes we've been seeing in recent decades now appear to be over. The average quote for one house, one contents and one comprehensive car policy on insurance comparison website Quashed has increased just 2% in the past year. But Kiwis are still paying more than a third more for insurance now than they were 3 years ago. Billions are at stake for small businesses this holiday season if buyers shop elsewhere. Accounting service Xero reveals $11 billion could enter our small business sector if consumers move just 10% of their spending away from big business. They're urging shoppers to choose locally as Black Friday and Christmas approach. Retail NZ Chief Executive Carolyn Young says larger offshore providers can lag in product quality, and she says that local vendors must comply with the Trading Act, consumer guarantees and safety standards.
Herald Now Sport, brought to you by Gold Sport.
Formula One's World Championship has been reignited after both McLaren cars were disqualified from the Las Vegas Grand Prix due to technical infringements. Race winner Max Verstappen remains within striking distance of the title with 2 races left. Cricket Australia is facing an estimated $3 million loss from the 2-day Ashes opener in Perth due to missed ticket revenue. All Blacks forwards coach Jason Ryan accepts questions will be asked of where his side sits 2 years from Rugby's World Cup after a 10-win, 3-loss season.
Herald Now Weather, brought to you by You Do It Kitchens.
Atamarie, good morning. Not a bad day to kick off the working week, but the weather will deteriorate from around Wednesday with the next approaching low pressure system. The one thing about today, though, it is going to be noticeably chilly in the South Island. For the lower south, you're about average for this time of year, although Timaru hitting only 13 degrees today. Christchurch and Ashburton likely to only warm to 14 degrees. It's all thanks to a southeasterly that turns northeast tonight. A few showers around in the east as well. Now there will be a few showers for Wellington, but it's not going to last with clearing skies this afternoon. Lovely weather for Taranaki. The sou'wester turns sou'east there this evening. Now the morning is the better half of the day here with showers becoming widespread from the afternoon. Easterlies develop for Hawke's Bay this morning. And apart from the odd shower for Northland from this afternoon, the upper north might just be the place to be. Fine skies with a sou'westerly for you, Auckland, easing tonight.
And that is it for us for today. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back tomorrow from 7 o'clock. For more news in the meantime, head to nzherald.co.nz. A quick thank you to our partners this morning, Forsyth Bar, You Do It, Barker's, Max, 2 Degrees, GJ Gardner, Delmar, and of course, Noel Leeming. From all the team at Herald Now, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.